give and take here at the Carriage House at Lee's Farm. We're in the Lee's Farm stand here. It is a part of our Northbridge Company's campus, and we are an independent assisted and memory support community that tries to provide the highest quality of life for folks who can no longer live independently, or can live independently but like to have another set of eyes on. And one of the reasons we partner with someone like Dr. Barry is because we are committed to a healthy lifestyle. As we all know, we're just marching each other home in one thing or another, and so to the extent of our journey, we really want it to be a happy and healthy one. So someone like Barry is going to provide us great information so we actually can remember the journey.
I thought you invited me because you wanted me to move in and be a resident.
Oh, well, you can do that if you wish, but I'm not there yet either. So thank you very much for your time and attention.
So thank you for coming. If you'd be kind enough to put your feet flat on the floor if you can, and if your feet won't reach the floor, uncross your arms and legs, push your tush to the back of your chair, sit up straight like somebody's holding your head up with some puppet strings, and just take a nice deep breath. So I often do something like this, and I'm going to do something different than the last couple of times we were together, where I was asking you to ground yourself. Now I'm just going to ask you to sit up straight. If you can, allow your eyes to close, and if that's not right for you, just allow your eyes to gently gaze about 45 degrees instead of looking straight ahead. Just, if you don't want to close your eyes, just allow your eyes to gaze about 45 degrees down. As you take another deep breath, and here's something that you could practice. I'd like you to visualize the space between the front of your body and the back of your body. So that area between the front of your body and your tailbone is called your perineum, medical term, sorry. So visualize your perineum, and starting there as a starting point, I'd like you to visualize some energy coming up your back, up through your back, small of your back, and this visualized energy is going to be white. It's glowing. So I'm asking you to do some right brain activity by visualizing something that's starting in the center of your body, kind of as if you had a magic marker, except it's glowing, if you would, and it's white, like a tube of light, like a fluorescent light, except it's not fluorescent. And bring that energy up through your back, in the middle of your back, in your neck, over the top of your head, down your forehead, down your nose, down your throat, down the center of your body, your chest, between your breasts, down your belly button, down the center of your body. And now it's connecting. And so now just see this loop of light, this energized current. I'm asking you to visualize a current. And as it's going up your spine and slowly over your head and down the front of your body, anytime you want, I want you to see the energy reversing. It's going in both directions at the same time. You're sitting up as straight as you can, and you're noticing this energy going up your back and up your front and down your back and down your front. Just see if you can stay with this light, this white light. Your head is nicely right on top of your neck. Your head is not forward. And just slowly breathe into this light coming up your back and down your front, up your front, down your back. It's kind of both directions. There's no right way to do it. Just breathe with this energy going up your front and down your back, up your back and down your front, They sometimes obviously cross each other because this energy is flowing in both directions. And just do that on your own for the next 15, 30 seconds. Just play with this circuit, this current that you're imagining in your mind's eye. And breathe. Allow this energy to fuse through your body as it kind of just pervades through the rest of your body, but you're focusing on the current, on the circuit. And as you do this, you can walk and chew gum at the same time, right? So I'd like you to bring a teacher. I'd like you to bring a prophet. I'd like you to bring some entity. Maybe you've never met them, or maybe it's somebody in your life that met. Maybe a religious teacher, maybe somebody from the Bible, maybe somebody from somewhere who is been inspiring to you, and bring them to kind of sit with you. So it's you and this one other teacher who you have some respect, connection for. Could be a prophet, could be a friend, could be a teacher in your life. One person, have them kind of come and sit with you. And invite them to be curious with you for the next short period of time, for the next few minutes. They're just going to be cheering you on to be open and receptive and to integrate what we're all going to be discussing about health and healing. And as you open your eyes in a few moments, see how often in the next, we're going to be together for about an hour, you can connect to this circuit, this current. If you're not mindful of it every second, every minute, that's fine. Occasionally, as you're listening to me, whenever you do, connect to this current going from the middle of your body, as in I called it your perineum, that goes up your front, down your back, down your front, both directions simultaneously. And just as we're speaking in the next few moments, stay connected to this current whenever you do. And you're bringing this teacher along with you, right? So now allow yourself to open your eyes. A little different energy, yeah, just a little. So there's a name for that, which I think was passed on to me in 1970. I think I was 3 in 1970. No, I wasn't 3 in 1970. But I was a little younger than I am now. And it's called Ouroboros, in case you want to know what, it's got a name, but I don't know if you're going to find it anywhere. But it is something that some teachers passed on to me in my early days of being interested in different energy. And Ouroboros is a little different than the ways in other talks I've been having people bring the energy of the earth up into their feet. That's another really good practice when you want to center yourself. Okay. Aging gracefully. What was I going to say? Oh, memory. There you go. It's memory. I forgot. Who knew? It's memory. Okay. Would you like a pen? Would you like a piece of paper?
I have paper.
You and Libby are going to take notes.
Of course we are.
Well, good.
Quiz.
Okay. So in the last couple of talks, which are both on the homepage of my website if you weren't with us. How many of you were with us at the first talk? Thank you. You weren't at the first talk. Wow, okay. So, second talk. How many were at the second talk on sleep? Thank you, Angela. Thank you. Okay, so some of this is then going to be new, so I'm so glad. Now, if you weren't at the first talk or the second talk, did you watch the video of the first or the second talk? You did watch it. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to see how much you remember. You also watched the first talk? Okay. And the second. Okay. Wow. And you still came to the third? I don't know. Wow. Okay. So you remember, I'm repetitively, for a reason, coming up with 10 factors that science is looking at and accumulating a lot of evidence for why our brain declines. Okay, no cheating, Haley, no cheating. No, no, I'm kidding. Oh,
Reading it quick.
yeah, you're reading quick. Okay, so let's go over some of those factors. Okay, toxic exposure, heavy metals, big factor on why our brains decline. Has anybody ever evaluated your aluminum, mercury? If not, ask somebody, come see me, or find somebody that will evaluate your heavy metals. Insulin resistance, huge, not just to manage weight, not just to see if you're diabetic. A1C is not just about how well your pancreas is managing blood sugar. I've been saying in the sleep talk, and I'm going to say in the memory talk, that inappropriate, oh, that's a judgment. Okay, take the inappropriate out. How about just large amounts of sugar? How much is that? Probably the amount that you're eating. Well, I eat a lot of fruit. I don't eat that much sugar anymore. I understand, but insulin resistance, prediabetes, diabetes, and roller coastering of sugar is a huge factor that affects the brain to not work well as we get older. So that's a third factor. Is age is a factor, right? A lot of kids who are 5 and 10 and 20 don't necessarily develop dementia. Age is a factor. Genetics is a factor that we've talked about. Nutritional deficiencies we've talked about. B12, folic acid, vitamin D. I wanted you to see, this is what a bottle of a really good omega-3 fish oil looks like, just in case you want to see what a bottle looks like. Hormones. Hormones play effect. Here's a book. I brought a lot of different props to this talk. One of my friends, brilliant chiropractor, practices kind of like a functional medicine doctor and a naturopath, Daviki Berkson. I think she's still in Texas. I met her mid-70s. Fantastic doctor. She is a hormone doc who is brilliant. So here's a Sexy Brain. It's an interesting title for a book, don't you think? How sizzling intimacy and balanced hormones prevent Alzheimer's, cancer, depression, and divorce. Wow. We could do a whole talk just on hormones. We haven't talked on hormones yet. But I wanted to remind you that imbalanced hormones that are different than, oh, I'm taking a patch, I'm not taking a patch, I'm doing estrogen, I'm not doing estrogen. Hormones play a role in how the brain shows up in a woman 50 and men 50, 60, 70s. We did a whole talk on sleep. Sleep is a huge factor. And the reason I did the talk on sleep before this talk on memory is because it's hard for some of the things that we're going to talk about in the next hour to have much effect if our sleep is subpar. So there's a lot people need to learn about really how to have better sleep. Exercise. I was listening to a podcast and the doctor said, if there's one thing people could do to have their brains work in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, it's get them to move. Get them to walk, get them on an elliptical, get them, long before their balance is not great and they're losing muscle and sarcopenia and their muscles aren't strong enough, get people to move so that their heart rate is pumping and there's better blood flow for the brain. Somebody's oral health has a lot to do with brain health. How your gut works doesn't mean you have ulcers or colitis or constipation or you got a diagnosed GI problem. But the health of, new word, some of you know the word. We didn't talk about this word 20, 25, 30 years ago. The word is microbiome. But how things are, we're more bacterial than we're human. We have more bacterial cells in our body than human cells. That's a whole other talk. That kind of gets us right on the edge of doing something about energy. But the environment of healthy bacteria or not healthy bacteria is a very critical factor in how the brain shows up in somebody's 50s and 60s and 70s. But that begins in their 30s and 40s. When you see your PCP, who's testing you on the health of your microbiome? Somebody like me and other docs who practice that way. I'm not the only person who practices that way. Okay, anybody have a sense of the biggest factor that's all about generating poor memory or good memory? What's one of the factors? I know you weren't here, but if you were here, you'd remember. What's the one other factor I missed? That's what? Hereditary. I said genetics. Yep. But that's not the one that we can do much about.
Stress.
Thank you. But that's not the one we're going to talk about tonight either. Could you guys talk about whether we can do a whole night just on stress in the brain?
It would be too stressful.
Yeah, okay, I got it. It's like Abbott and Costello with MJ. You know that? She's like my straight girl. Okay. That was a great, by the way, I left out stress. I apologize. And it's not stress. What's the biggest driving factor for poor memory besides sleep and the panoply, the soup of all the variables that we just went to? Because it's not just one thing, right? Now, not everybody has insulin resistance and not everybody has a toxic aluminum or mercury. So it could be 2 or 3 factors. But this whole evening, how many of you are old enough to remember The Graduate? Remember the movie The Graduate? MJ's too young. Okay. Okay, so what was the word he whispered? Oh my God, would you give this woman a glass of water or something? So in the movie, it was plastics. So everybody turned to somebody and instead of saying plastics, say inflammation. Say inflammation. Yeah, okay. So what is inflammation? Inflammation is I'm reading this because I wanted to get it right. Inflammation is a biochemical response to harmful stimuli such as infections, injuries, toxins. It's a protective mechanism that aims to eliminate the cause of injury, repair damaged tissue, and prevent further harm. So let's start at the beginning. Inflammation is part of the body's wisdom of walling things off, and there's a rush of biochemical different cells, which you don't want to know the names of those cells. I need you to understand the difference between acute inflammation. You have an injury, an infection, toxic reaction, an allergic reaction, like, oh, nature's working. I have an inflammatory response. What's the color related to inflammation?
Red.
Thank you. Inflammations are flat or not flat? Thank you. They're not flat. Inflammations are swellings, right? Characteristics. Inflammation are you feel great or inflammations are painful? Inflammations are painful. Inflammations are hot or cold? Hot. See how smart you guys are? And there's a loss of function. So acute inflammation, when you have a bug or you have a trip and hurt yourself, an injury, is all, that's just the way we were designed. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about allergic reactions, chemical exposures. There are benefits of having inflammatory responses. Out of some harm, we're talking, please underline, chronic inflammatory responses. We're talking people who have long-term allergies, people who have long-term infections, people who have long-term post-concussive symptoms. Okay? People who live for days, weeks, months. Well, days sounds okay to me. You had a bad bug. You know, you hurt yourself. So if you have an inflammatory process for a couple of days or a week, it's like your body's doing what it's supposed to do. Months? Uh-oh. Years? Now it's like, why isn't that healing? What's preventing the body's normal inflammatory process? So the number one issue that causes memory loss, although it probably takes a couple of other variables, is inflammation. Can we go back to what they're doing in medicine? The memory drugs, Aricept and all sorts of other ones, what are they supposed to do, MJ?
Get rid of the amyloid plaque.
Exactly! See, just have her speak. You don't need me. MJ said that the memory drugs are supposed to get rid of the plaque. Okay, do they work?
No.
Why not? Because plaque isn't the problem. The problem is the inflammation that causes the plaque. So to reduce the plaque, even if it happens, is only moderately helpful to improve somebody's memory. Because the game it's not a game, the paradigm of the thinking, which is on the verge of dramatically changing, given the doctors I've been hanging out with and learning, is you've got to change the inflammation. You've got to change what's causing the plaque. But boy, there are some really brilliant neurologists who are not up to what the researchers are saying. Okay, here's a test. Just write down yes or no answers, and then we'll count them out, okay? Here's a test about inflammation and your brain. Just write down yes or no. Thank you. Are you struggling with sugar cravings ever? Just write down a Y for yes or a no for no, and you're going to count up your yeses. Are you having a difficult time shedding 10, 20, 30 pounds? Do you have a difficult time losing weight? Yes or no? Do you ever struggle with digestive issues of diarrhea, constipation, bloating, gas, irritable bowel? Do you ever, not just had diarrhea because you ate bad food. I'm talking about ongoing issues of colitis. Anything with an ITIS means inflammation. Okay? So that's a yes or no, number 3. Number 4, do you struggle with low energy a lot? Yes or no? 5, have you ever followed a low-fat diet? 6, do you cook in vegetable oil? Yes or no? Do you sometimes push yourself too hard at the gym? Like that's what you regularly do? Yes or no? 8, do you have any food allergies or food sensitivities? Yes or no? 9, do you have arthritis? Yes or no? 10, do you have chronic back pain? Yes or no? 11, do you have fibromyalgia? Yes or no? Do you have sensitive gums? Yes or no? Do you drink alcohol more than 6 drinks a week? Yes or no? Or have you ever? Do you have a hard time sleeping more than once a month? Do you have a hard time sleeping more than once a month? Yes or no? 15, do you smoke? Yes or no? Have you ever had cancer?
Smoking an occasional cigar count?
You choose. Good.
I wrote down.
Okay.
You choose.
Have you ever had a chronic long-term infection? Long-term COVID, long-term fill in the blank. Have you ever dealt with a Lyme? Have you ever had a long-term infection? 1 or 2 more. Actually, only 1 more. Have you ever been exposed to toxic chemicals? As in, you go to the beauty parlor every Saturday, or you go get your nails done every Saturday, and you smell the chemicals and don't say to yourself, oh my God, I wonder if this is good being here. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I didn't have that in the notes. I don't know where that came from. Okay, so count up your yeses. Anybody have 1, 2, or 3? Wow. Anybody have 4 or 5? Okay. Anybody have 6, 7, or 8? So if you're more, these were 18 questions. If you're over 5 or 6, you have had chronic inflammatory problems. That doesn't mean you're going to have dementia when you're 65, 70, 75, or 80. We're talking about predisposition. Inflammation. Inflammation. It's what drives plaque. It's what drives neurotransmitters to not work in the brain. So, look at these books that I take notes from. Can you believe all this stuff that I've read? Or at least I pretend to read. I don't know if I've ever read them. I can't remember if I've read them or not. Here's, did you get it? It's a little slow, but you got it. Joe Dispenza. Anybody spend time with Joe Dispenza? Incredible. Have you spent time, Diane, with Joe Dispenza? Do his basic and his advanced course? Let's talk. So here's one of his books called Evolve Your Brain. It's a little thick. Stay with it. I recommend it in some of my talks. I'll recommend it to you. If you're a Netflix kind of person, there's a wonderful 4-part series on blue zones. Highly recommended. You guys watch Blue Zones yet? You don't watch TV. Too busy. I didn't show any books at the last couple of talks, so I wanted to make up for it. So David Sinclair is at Harvard. This is a big book, I understand. I use it with patients. Some patients get it. This is an extra one I have. It's called Lifespan and Why We Age and Why We Don't Have to. Okay. However, most of the material of these talks I've gotten from a teacher new in my life last 2-3 years, Dale Bredesen. His recent book is called The Ageless Brain. And Dale is a neurologist who for the last 45 years has focused entirely on Alzheimer's. And when he talks to docs, he's talking cell biochemistry. I'm simplifying a lot of that. Are you interested in cell biochemistry? Are you interested in cell biochemistry? Of course not. I'm not interested in much cell biochemistry. She's interested in cell biochemistry. Well, I should talk a little bit of cell biochemistry just to satisfy you. So these kinds of things are big picture kinds of things that you can do. So on your worksheet, here's the first 10 tips to improve memory. Ready? 1, relax more. Because I didn't say, but you were smart enough to say, one of the biggest factors that predicts brain decline is stress. So that's a very small word for a huge topic. So, popcorn style, what are some of the things you do to relax?
Watch TV.
Watch TV?
Listen to music.
Walk, listen to music.
Puzzles.
Puzzles,
Spend time with family.
spend time with family, read, tennis,
Sing.
quilt,
Yoga.
sing, yoga. Now, any of those things could be helping you relax. But I remember speaking to somebody, my son was a nationally ranked tennis player, and I was talking about I wanted him to teach me how to dance on the tennis court. Although that didn't last too long because my son was so good that, okay, it's another story. So, but I remember I said, because tennis is so relaxing for me, I just want to kind of Tai Chi dance on the court, it's just on my toes. But I remember speaking with him, this is 25 years ago, and him saying that he could do that for other people. He knew what I was asking. But for him, he was in such a competitive mindset that it was very hard for him to use tennis to relax because he wanted to win. It was very important for him to play well. So many things. If Debbie loves to sing, but she has this inner critic of, I'm not singing as good as the person next to me, I need to sing louder, I need to sing softer, I keep forgetting the words, she's got all this. It may not be that relaxing. So what is relaxing means your parasympathetic nervous system is turned up and your sympathetic nervous system is turned down. What that is, if you're meditating, it's like,
It's 6:44.
it's Mickey. If you're meditating, like, well, that may not, even if your mind was quiet, the way you're approaching that activity may not help you really turn down sympathetic and turn up relaxing. Okay, second tip to help your memory, move. I said earlier, I was listening to a podcast today, he said the thing that people can do in their 30s, 40s, 50s is get in a routine where you really like to move your body. I've often said sitting is the new smoking. 3, have more fun. What do you have that's different than relaxing, different than, but maybe the same, because maybe your thing for moving is dancing. Maybe you have fun, or skiing.
Number 2 is routine movement.
Some kind of movement. 3 is have fun. 4 is hydrate, drink more fluid, better fluid. 5 is better sleep. 6, cognitive training. Diane said puzzles. For some people, one way of helping your brain in a world of neuroplasticity, new connections, new brain cells, is learning. Use it or lose it. Doesn't have to be a puzzle, but something to help your brain in your 50s and 60s is maybe you want to learn Italian, maybe you want to learn knitting, maybe you want to learn fill in the blank. But it's going to take some persistence where I don't know that and I'm going to learn it. Quick one?
Yeah, all those like puzzle games that they advertise on your phone.
Yep.
They say help your
Some of them might. Some of them might not, I'm not sure, but some of them might. 8, eat a rainbow of color. 7. Oh, thank you. I'll get to 7 in a minute. Thank you. Thank you. 7 is eat a rainbow. Anybody hear the ELF diet? ELF? Eat less food. It's the ELF diet. Systematic undereating. We could do a whole evening on intermittent fasting, cleansing, its relationship to the brain and aging, and what does undereating really mean? It doesn't mean walk around hungry. 8, better oral hygiene helps memory. Different exercises that allow you to be more present. 10, it's kind of a repetition, but worth writing down a second time. A tip to help your memory is be curious. Have a high value of enjoying learning. Not like, well, I know what I know, and I think what I think, and so can't teach an old dog tricks, and I'm an old dog, so watch out for your limiting beliefs regarding things that might help your brain not take advantage of this term neuroplasticity. So I brought 2 supplements because I wanted to give you different herbs. So there are a number of companies that are really good. My formulas, Love Your Body, are by no means the only really good ones. But here are 2 brain formulas that I designed. This is Healthy Brain Formula 2. This is Healthy Brain Formula 4. I have 4 different ones. 1 is for sleep, so I didn't bring that. 3 is for something else. I didn't bring that. But I have 2 memory formulas, and here's a list of herbs and nutrients that you could test yourself for and see, not do you have deficiencies in these areas, but would it really help you in some way have better brain function? Some of you have heard of curcumin and turmeric, right? You've heard of turmeric? What's turmeric known for these days? So why do you think it could help your memory? Oh, because it's not just my tennis injury, or it's not just my tripped, or it's not just my... It's not just my muscular, skeletal inflammation. So I bought myself this marble bowl on Amazon, and I got this pestle, it's marble, and I bought some ginger, write down ginger, and I got some turmeric, organic of each, and I cut some up, about as big as a finger, and I took the pestle. Some past life, was I some herbalist? I don't know. But anyway, so I'm making like fresh turmeric and fresh ginger and fresh black pepper and fresh a number of things, cloves, and then I got a whole bunch of stuff, and I put 2 tablespoons of that with hot water, and it's like an anti-inflammatory tea that I'm drinking in the morning. Send me an email if you want the exact recipe. But write down curcumin or turmeric. Oh, you know what else in the tea? Really amazing for memory? Cinnamon. Now, anybody who's read, what can I do to keep my blood sugar steady? I'm a little bit pre-diabetic, or I'm not pre-diabetic, but I don't want to be pre-diabetic, given the amount of sugar that I used to eat. Cinnamon is amazing for blood sugar stability. Good cinnamon, organic cinnamon. So I bought cinnamon sticks. I use 1 cinnamon stick with my cloves, black pepper, turmeric, and ginger root. Vanilla is the other ingredient. Okay, a couple of odd names, but write them down. They're in some of these memory formulas and other memory formulas that you might want to know about. Go to cola, Bacopa, B-A-C-O-P-A. Some of you have heard about green tea. Write down green tea. Rosemary is an herb. These are different herbs that have amazing effects. One other herb would be ashwagandha. Some of you have heard about A-S-H-W-A-N-G-A-D-A. Ashwagandha. Sounds like it was from that movie, but it's not. It's the name of an herb. And those are herbs that are really good for the brain, particularly for memory. Now, I wanted to have you put down a list of some of the most important nutrients for memory. Probably the most important is a really good omega fish oil that you know is made by European standards, not American standards. Why? Because American standards are lower and allow fish to be used that have different levels of mercury, which you don't want. You don't want concentrated omega fish oils and at the same time be taking concentrated mercury. So make sure that whatever fish oil you're getting, and omega-3 fatty acids are really incredibly important as an anti-inflammatory, not just for circulatory vascular, but for plaque buildup in the brain. Vitamin E is in Edward. Get mixed tocopherols. You're looking for like at least a 400 international unit vitamin E. Be careful, don't get vitamin E that's synthetic. It needs to say mixed tocopherols.
Or DL.
Excuse me?
Alpha, not DL.
D-alpha, correct. B12, folic acid. And the last vitamin mineral that's really, really helpful is there are different forms of magnesium. Magnesium is what makes chlorophyll green. Magnesium works in partnership with calcium for the nervous system and menstrual cramps or any kind of muscle cramps. Magnesium oxide, if you take it, causes loose stools. So I don't give magnesium oxide to anybody. So they made a magnesium that's really great. You can take in higher amounts that doesn't cause GI concerns, called magnesium glycinate. They just attached it to an amino acid. However, as much as I've used bottles and bottles and bottles of magnesium glycinate over the years, the kind of magnesium that's particularly good for the brain is called magnesium threonate, T-H-R-E-O-N-A-T-E.
You spell that T-H-R-E.
Threonate, T-H-R-E-O-N-A-T-E, threonate. And some people want to take that before bed, certainly help them sleep, but it's also really good for brain function. I'm giving you some highlights. I want to shift for a moment and give you some ideas about mindfulness. How do you think about mindfulness? What comes to your mind when I say a mindful practice?
Being aware.
So, awareness, a P word.
Presentation.
Thank you, Jim. So the idea is, where'd Libby go? There's Libby. You could be mindful playing tennis. You don't have to sit on a cushion. Mindfulness has something to do with awareness and presence. And if you just have that, then you could sing and not be aware that you're singing, and you can do a lot of things, like talk or give a talk to people. And I'm not aware of, I got all my weight on my left foot, and I'm, for some reason, on my toes on my right foot. So something about when I said to somebody in 1971, the guy who lived in the apartment building, I was at Brandeis, and the guy across the hall, coincidentally, was a meditator. And I was sitting and thinking of pizza and movies and fun and what am I going to eat and sex and oh my God, I was thinking of anything and everything except sitting on the cushion. And I said to him, my mind is like all over the place. And he goes, yeah, uh-huh. And I said, is there something else I should be doing? He said, yeah, when you put your hand on the doorknob and you open the door to go into your house, just become aware that your hand is on the doorknob. 1971 was a few years ago. I still remember that. That was like, oh, that you don't have to sit and meditate for 20 minutes or 40 minutes. So the idea of a mindfulness practice that may be on a cushion or maybe just every time you go in the door or in and out of the house or open the drawer and get some silverware, so what if I was more aware and more present? So what? Oh, well, here's what the science says. Here's what the researchers are catching up to monks of 500 years. Mindfulness practices increases neuroplasticity. Mindfulness practices improves the function of your frontal cortex and your hippocampus. Mindfulness practices lower your cortisol levels. Cortisol is adrenaline, sympathetic nervous system. Go, 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 go. Traffic, news, government shutdowns, babies dying. Just social media. Just what are we listening to that's actually inspiring? If watching TV helps you relax, well, could be. I'm open. Are you laughing? Are you just entertained? I mean, it doesn't mean people can't be doing, doesn't mean they have to be all romantic comedies. But the idea of something lowering your cortisol for most of us in life is pretty important. Mindfulness practices improves our memory capacity, our capacity to sustain memories, not just you remember what happened yesterday. I want to make a distinction for some of you. Memory isn't just you did remember what you had for breakfast yesterday. Do you remember what you had for breakfast yesterday? Okay, memory is more than that. Memory is your ability to sustain what you can recall, not just that you can recall where you left your keys. I understand a lot of what happens for people as we age is just too many times there are certain words I can't remember, or certain names I don't remember, or where did I leave my keys? You know, there's something you can buy from Apple to put on your keys so that when you lose your keys, your phone, assuming you don't lose your phone, assuming you know where your phone is, it'll be an alert on your phone. Oh, that's amazing. Mindfulness practices help increase attention. So Jim said presence, but even practicing something like a practice not only increases neuroplasticity, you're allowing the frontal brain and the rear brain, the hippocampus where memory is stored, to function better, but it allows you to be more attentive in the moment. Maybe you'll lose your keys less. Oh, where did I put them? Put them where you're supposed to be. Don't put them somewhere random. Routine. Oh, here's a good one for some of us. Maybe not you, but for some of us. Mindfulness practices helps emotional regulation. Now, since there are many different mindfulness practices, what's the name of an American who popularized the word mindfulness? Not Deepak. Well, Deepak, but Deepak is an Ayurvedic master. He's an endocrinologist. So when I was at Brandeis, Johnny is a couple of years older than me. And so John Kabat-Zinn and I took saunas, steams, we alternated every Monday. And he taught biology at Brandeis. You know what he taught when he taught biology at Brandeis? They were yoga classes. This is before he sold his first $1 million or $2 million. I mean, Johnny is. So John took a lot of things that are Asian or Eastern, repackaged them and so if you want to read something about mindfulness as a practice, and there's Thich Nhat Hanh, and there's also wonderful people who talk about mindfulness, but John Kabat-Zinn is expert. What I'm offering you is there isn't one mantra or one do this. I just told you could do it by, oh, I'm putting my hand on the doorknob and now I'm pulling the door for me. That's it, just 10 seconds of mindfulness. The research shows, last point, benefits of mindfulness, is the more different techniques you use throughout the day that you would call mindful, the better it is for your memory. As opposed to you do one thing and that's, well, this is what I do. You know, I don't answer the phone when I'm watching Netflix. Or I'm very mindful when I eat. You know, I don't talk on the phone when I eat. I eat when I eat. I don't eat when I have sex, and I don't eat when I drive, and I don't eat when I'm on the, you know, I eat when I eat. You know, I'm kind of present in some activities that are really important because I want to be more in the moment to savor and have that as an experience. So the last thing I wanted to say is that the research shows is that the more, and I don't mean you need 20 different mindfulness techniques in any given day, but it's not just one practice. The brain is incredibly flexible and can generate neuroplasticity from a number of different places. Last thing, couple of things before we get to questions. Moving right along. I wanted to go over with you the food plan that is most researched now for better memory. What's the name of the food plan that most prevents or reduces plaque in the brain? Close, but no cigar. I would have said that. In fact, that's what I've been saying for years, and I'm here to tell you, personally, I'm in the midst of pivoting what I'm doing. Now that I'm 50, couldn't resist. Well, I'm a little older than 50. Well, so I am pivoting, and Mediterranean's great, but it's not the answer. What is the most researched diet that's being shown?
Keto.
See, got it.
Keto.
Yeah.
Keto diet.
Katie, Haley hasn't even read my book yet, and she's way ahead of the curve. Yeah. So, number of people have had bad juju about the ketogenic diet because years ago when it first came out, people would eat pounds and pounds of cheese and roast beef. Right. And I had a patient, I remember, I won't use his last name, I remember Jim came to see me and he was having all sorts of heart concerns and all sorts of problems. Well, okay, that was then, and now I want to talk to you about the ketogenic diet, which I personally have not been a big fan of, but I have been pivoting in the last 2 months. I won't say it's a shock for my system. I'd say I'm really needing to be flexible because I was so oriented to eating a Mediterranean food plan. But the research shows that the key, well, what are the key characteristics of a ketogenic diet? Ready? I'm just going to give them to you for you to write down. Low carbohydrates, 5-10%. Uh-oh, here it comes, number 2. You ready? What's it high in?
Protein.
Fat.
It's like 85% fat.
Unhealthy fat.
Thank you. Marcia said healthy fat. Avocados, olive oil, fatty fish, coconut oil, 70 to 80%, and that feeds the brain. Sardines. Moderate amounts of protein, huge amounts of protein. Mediterranean diet is lots and lots of vegetables and clean protein. How much? As much protein as you want. Not so in a ketogenic diet. Large amounts of even healthy protein will devalue the healthy fat. So you can take something like this, which Dale and a lot of these, Dale's been studying Alzheimer's for 45 years. I mean, he is one of the leading researchers of what I've been presenting in these 3 talks that I've been distilling down. People like Mark Hyman and David Perlmutter, who wrote Grain Brain, they're listening to Dale. So my roots are food is tailored to your specific needs. So I don't like the idea of everybody be a vegetarian, or no one should be a vegetarian, or everyone should go off coffee, or nobody should have wine, or everyone should go off sugar, and nobody can have a good cigar. We can talk about cigars later, okay? So we can talk about, just tell me what you like. I might have some in the car. I can give you. However, at this moment, it's evolving quickly. What's being talked about and studied is that the fat content, it's not about never having alcohol. Although some people, from a blood sugar insulin point of view, might need to cut down alcohol and wine, or not cut it down, stop for a month or 2. Let's get your numbers. Chronological age is different than biological age. Let's look at some numbers in your body related to your symptoms, or however I'm evaluating your strengths and weaknesses. So the key characteristics are low carbs, not as much brown rice, millet, quinoa as you want. It's not do or don't eat meat. And yeah, all these people say, if you're gonna eat meat, have it be grass-fed, and if you're gonna have chicken, don't have it with antibiotics and hormones. Yeah, of course. But they're not saying, God, don't have the skin, it's not fried chicken, so have as much chicken. They're not saying that. They're saying you want to have much more healthy fats. They're not saying have 3 avocados a day, but they are saying you want to have 3 or 4 avocados a week. They're saying, in this podcast I was listening to today, Mark Hyman was being interviewed, and the guy said, we should tell people how important olive oil is. That don't have a tablespoon or 2, but put some olive oil in a little half a glass and drink some olive oil. And Mark said, Mark's a really smart guy, and Mark said, yeah, but it's got to have a little burn in the back of your throat, because it's got to be the kind of olive oil that's got a lot of phenols, that's got a lot of these antioxidants. It can't be any olive oil. It's got to be very, very high-end olive oil that's almost like got spicy. That's why I put pepper in the tea that I'm making and grinding every 4 or 5 days. I make a bunch, put it in the refrigerator, and I don't have to make it every day. So, do you know a whole lot of people that chug 2, 3, 4 ounces of olive oil like tequila shots?
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, well, so I want you to get a sense of the direction that things are going. It's a real moving quickly. Is that for better brains, as Marcia said, it's good fats. It's not lots and lots of cheese, but it's not no cheese. But it's put some avocado oil on that, put some coconut oil on that. You want it to absorb slower, then put some coconut oil, a tablespoon or two, on your brown rice. So there's a lot of different recipes that I've been learning really recently to help my brain. One of the benefits of that, well, people, why was ketogenic even brought forward 20, 30 years ago? It was a while ago, it was long before, because ketogenic was supposed to help people lose weight and done properly so that people are not justifying eating a lot of dairy. Yeah, eating a healthier ketogenic, you're eating a whole lot less bread, you're eating a whole lot less sugar in any forms, you're eating a whole lot less fruit, but you are eating a lot of vegetables, but it's not Mediterranean where the whole central theme of what you're eating is grain and vegetables. So for somebody like me, where the central theme of what I was eating was vegetables and grain and clean protein, very little red meat, but a fair amount of wild-caught fish and a fair amount of chicken, keto is like a, just, for me, it was like a work in progress to get with the program. Ketogenic helps people improve blood sugar stability because they're not eating as much beans and grains. They're not eating as much bread, small amount of carbs. This research says, that ketogenic food plans help mental clarity and can reverse, what does the medication, MJ, not do?
Get rid of amyloid plaque.
The research is showing that ketogenics can get rid of plaque. How can it get rid of plaque? Because it's reducing the inflammation that's driving the plaque. Remember, these people that I'm working with, that Dale and other functional medicine doctors are working with, they're testing their mercury, their lead, and way more than their A1C. And there's a whole bunch of markers that I'm looking at. It's a multifactorial problem, but I wanted to drill down and give you the enhanced mental clarity and people who eat ketogenics because, for a number of reasons, their physical energy and stamina is better. Their blood sugar is not roller coastering. I think I have one last thing I wanted to say to you before we have questions. This is probably one of the best books I've read in the last easily 10 years. Or it's the only book I've read in the last 10 years. I can't remember. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's really, if you like a book that is this person on drugs? No, no drugs. Wow. It's like a thriller. Anybody ever heard of Moonwalking with Einstein? Heard of it? Heard of it? Okay. I have no points in it. I'd recommend, if you love a great read, some of these other books are a little heady and academic. This is written by a young man who's a journalist, and he went to do research and write a paper, an article on people who are Olympic memory giants. Do you know they have memory Olympic games? People who can, take 2 decks of cards, and in 5 minutes they remember every card and the way it was shuffled. Do you think you could do that? Probably not. Yeah. So this guy met some of the top world mental gymnasts, like Olympic level. And then somebody said to him, you could be really good at this. And he took 1 year, studied with a couple of people, and then became the champion a year later, went from nothing to, and the book, it reads like a novel of his brain exercises of what he did to recall things. You know, what did he do? You and I are probably not going to spend an hour or 2 or 3 a day, nor are we probably going to enter Olympic memory games. But I offer you the book because I thought it was an amazing read, you know, a little bit like thrilling, like you did what? But the takeaway for me was exploding this word of neuroplasticity. Some of you have been to some of my talks, some of you have listened to more than these talks on my website. I have a lot of talks and radio shows. You know, I love to tell people your capacity for healing is extraordinarily greater than anybody's really led you to believe. That doesn't mean nobody should ever do surgery, and it doesn't mean nobody should ever take drugs. It just means our capacity as human beings is that's not what we're getting coached in unless you have some perseverance. So for me, this was incredibly inspiring.
Who's the author?
The author is Joshua, last name is Foer. Moonwalking with Einstein. And if any of you are thinking of writing a book, this unbelievable woman, Ellen Kiter, helped me edit my book. If any of you have read it, she looks human, but she's not. You know, she does come from another planet and is incredibly talented if you are looking for somebody. If you're a pretender like me, like you know how to write and you know you a wordsmith, she'll make you look good. So I want to. She's.
Not AI. No.
Questions, comments? Anybody want to ask me anything? Yes, ma'am.
So how was the keto diet a spin-off of the old Atkins diet, and how do they differ?
I don't know, and yes.
Okay.
Or yes, and I don't know, given how you asked me the question. Yeah, Atkins was who this one close friend was many people. So it's probably when I started practicing, I came back from medical school and I practiced in San Francisco and Boulder and Portland, Oregon, and then I opened my clinic in 1981. So it was probably 83, 84, and 5 was Atkins was doing keto. And I was never a big fan. But this is a healthier version of just eat a lot of dairy and a lot of meat.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is there like a sort of a different, is there like different versions of ketogenic diet? Because for medical reasons, my daughter was on it for like a year and it was like 85% fat, basically.
Yep.
Or I don't remember there being a lot of fish and other stuff.
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that question either. Well, the question is, are there different versions of ketogenic?
I think some of the issue with the Atkins diet initially is that it kind of advertised that you could have, like as much bacon as you wanted because
Right.
it didn't kind of fall into those
There you go.
categories.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I think they tried to market certain products of their own, like their version of Ensure or something to that effect. Where I think that the central concept, like he's talking about, wasn't really focused in on so much. I think people kind of took the pieces that they liked, and for that reason,
Yeah.
kind of just became like
Thank you.
swept under the rug. And I think, like I said, not enough education, I don't think, was behind the thesis for the Atkins diet versus, and I don't think there's a huge difference between it and the keto diet, just that people look at it differently, if that makes sense.
And thank you for that. And what I'd add is, I don't know if there are different versions of it, but I'm sure there have got to be different applications of it.
Better word, yeah.
So that Dale Bredesen and what he's doing is inside a functional medicine model. So he's already in a platform of eat or more organically, eat less processed preserves, colored, adulterated food, eat less sugar, eat less white flour. Doesn't mean you never have alcohol, but don't drink, what is alcohol in moderation? And don't just drink alcohol and have no idea of your blood sugar stability unless you're just rolling the dice and you're 40, 45, and you're going to set yourself up in your 70s to be more pre-diabetic. So he's not never eat sugar and never have alcohol. He's saying that kind of like people are looking at cholesterol and triglycerides, there are early markers that PCPs are not ordering that you can look at in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s that are really good predictors, and that then might mean you eat less than this for 3 months, 6 months, a year, and get some levels in a better place. And I'm guessing that there are a lot of people who might like the idea of keto, but they're not functional medicine docs. And then even within the world of functional medicine, since I was a talk here, I was in LA, I was with 600 functional medicine doctors. Some functional medicine doctors don't do cleansing and detoxing at all. It's one of the cornerstones of what I do with people. Some functional medicine doctors don't do, so I can go on, but I don't know who told your daughter to eat, but I think to the point that, yeah, eat high fat, so people are eating regular bacon with nitrates, not even.
Yeah. It's the fact that they don't focus on eliminating the processed foods. That,
Yep.
I think that's a big cornerstone of it that I just don't think it was looked at a lot when the Atkins diet was developed. I don't think people were thinking about, like you said, nitrates, processed foods, even to cheese, which I'm just learned I was diabetic, so I'm in this whole vein of looking at the diet and things like that. And when you look at like a keto diet, there is kind of a broad umbrella of what you could plug into it, but again, some things work much better than others, and unfortunately the processed foods are kind of not helpful. Yeah. Ideally, should be eliminated. My lunch is all vegetables. I have like a bag of cucumbers, a bag of peppers, a bag of carrots. I eat all the vegetables way before I get to the sandwich. And some, I think that's inherently
We use
your body knows.
keto wraps.
Right. So that's something that I don't know this is a fact. I'm presuming that the timing of eating, some docs, whether they promote keto or not, but let's talk about docs that, what he was just suggesting is how your blood sugar deals with a food is not just what you're eating or what you're not eating, it's the timing. So eating your fiber first before you have your carb and your protein is very different. I mean, I saw these studies a month and a half ago. I was doing a seminar with a woman, and she had all sorts of graphs of the same person under different conditions eating the same meal, and they ate their hamburger and baked potato and salad, or their salad, hamburger, and baked potato, and the blood sugar response was radically different because they were eating their fiber first. Other questions? Thanks so much.
So I didn't mean to.
What?
Fasting and intermittent fasting, or you mentioned it and then you said we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we need to do another talk on
Okay,
fasting
well,
and intermittent
no,
fasting.
Do you have 2 seconds to address that? Are you, intermittent fasting is good for you?
Well, water is good for you, and people can drown in it. So I have seen. So I've been doing intermittent fasting and teaching intermittent fasting since I got into this in 1970. And I was open then, because remember, I was only 3 or 4 years old in 1970. But I've also seen people do intermittent fasting where they did it and they had a good 8, 10, 12-hour gap that they weren't eating. And then what they were eating, they then had a pint of cottage cheese or a pint of, a whole log of cream cheese. So the idea of resting your digestive system and giving your body a chance to shift how it's going to deal with food and not stressing your colon, kidneys, lungs, liver, lymphatic system is incredibly positive. The question is, what are you eating when you do eat, as opposed to, well, I skip breakfast, I just have tea, and I don't have lunch. My first meal of the day is at dinner, or my first meal of the day is lunch, because I eat dinner, I skip breakfast, my first meal is lunch, but then people bring me in their food journal. I ask people to write down the time of day and what they're eating and what they eat. And they've been intermittent fasting for a month or 2 or 3. But what they're eating for lunch is not Mediterranean, not keto, and it's just like they just hopped on the bandwagon because it's like the new...
Calorie deficit. So how about fasting for like 2 or 3 days?
It depends. So, and I'm going to give you an extreme example. Yeah. So I've done a number of talks at Dana-Farber. I have a lot of experience with people with cancer. There are a lot of people with cancer where in my world, my first visit with somebody is 3 to 4 hours. I'm evaluating somebody and I'm justifying whether they've got heavy metals, they don't have heavy metals. I'm coming to a conclusion that their liver is in overwhelm. They don't necessarily have hepatitis, nor do I think they're going to have hepatitis. They don't have cirrhosis, nor do I think they're going to have cirrhosis. But given their recreational drugs, no recreational drugs, alcohol, pesticides, given whatever, I'm thinking 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, eat well for a month, do another 3 days, 5 days. They need a couple of cycles of resting their body and detoxing. I'm getting to the punchline, I promise. And I would say, I think one of the most important things I can offer you is to rest your body. It's not just stopping smoking. It's not just stopping alcohol. It's not just stopping having less food. I think the culmination of what you've done the last number of years, I'm using an example. Remember, even though I'm licensed now, I have to be careful. In this state, it's illegal to treat cancer with food. But I'm going to use it as an example. I might say to somebody, the idea of you doing a cleansing program where we're upregulating how your lungs, liver, colon, skin, lymphatics work, I think would make such a difference in what you're asking me for. What can I do for my colon, lung, breast, ovary cancer? What can I do to help me with cancer? However, I think what we need to do is spend the first 3 to 6 months and build you up. I think what we need to do is get your blood sugar steady. I think we need to build your adrenals. Read the first half of my book. The first half of my book is for you to appreciate digestion, immune system. So I've run into more than a few patients who their Lyme, their fibromyalgia, their cancer is, I got 17 different reasons why I can justify a cleanse would be great, but I don't even want to do a 3-day cleanse. I need to build them up for 4, 6, 8 weeks and then do a 1 or a 2 or a 3-day cleanse so I don't run the risk of them, not just their tongues getting coated, but them being exhausted. Am I worried that they're going to break out in boils? Nah, I doubt it. But you've got to understand that when somebody says detox, where's it going? It comes out through your bowels, it comes out through your lungs, it comes out through your skin, it comes out through your brain. Some people who detox too quickly have brain fog. People have called me like, I saw your card in my wallet, but I don't remember. I swear it's happened. So I've learned to And I developed a program. It's a 21-day online program. About 20,000 people have done my Love Your Body program. I kind of refer to it as my first child. My kids are okay, trust me. But some people have done it 2, 3, 5, 10 times. Few people, a couple of hundred people, have done it 12 or 15 times. But it's a 3-week program where people are in a community listening to me rather than, oh, I write it down, do this, do this, do this. You know, I'll see you in 2 weeks. I just want you to eat vegetables. That's their cleanse. Or vegetables and protein drink. Or we can add a little bit of fish. So the idea of cleansing and detoxing, if you asked me, we're going to send you to an island. I hope it's nice. I'm going, not you, by the way. Unless you want to come with me. I'd love to go with you. And somebody said to me, we're going to send you for an island, and you can only take one of your tools in your toolkit. You can take homeopathy, herbs, vitamin, keto diet, cleansing, physical tools. Let's take meditation, chanting, and these clearings that you might want to come let me do for you. Only one tool, MJ. No, that I would take if I was going to an island, that I can only take one of the tools that I love using in the last 40, 50 years. I have consistently, given my background that some of you have read in my book, very sick, strep 4 or 5 times a month, 104, 105 fever, incredibly overweight, massive headaches. I was a pretty sick kid. And when I started working with a medical doctor, 1930, naturopathic doctor, 1932, 40 years later, because I started seeing him in 1970, what was one of the first things he said? You need to cleanse. You're incredibly toxic. And I fasted every Monday for a year. That's a lot of fasting. But what did I do the other 6 days a week when I didn't fast every Monday?
Ate well.
I ate well. I was under his tutelage. He was like my priest, my rabbi, my minister, you know, my shaman. And he was big barrel chested guy. He was like 82, 84, 86. But he was a father figure. I trusted him completely. Second year, you ready for the next step? I said, yeah. He said, I want you to fast every Monday and 3 days once a month. Once a month, I did Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The other weeks, I did every Monday. Is that enough fasting cleansing for you? Yeah. Okay. The third year, third year, he said, are you ready for the next step? What would you say? Of course. What's next? He said, I want you to do 1 day a week, 3 days a month, and a minimum of 2 weeks every quarter. I was young. I was 20. I was impressionable. I trusted him. For 2 years, I did every Monday, 3 days a month. MJ, you don't have to do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You could do,
I know that.
you could do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I know your weekends are important.
I do have free will.
That's right. And I haven't done this with a lot of patients. So I did a minimum of 2. Some of those 2-week cleanses became 4 and 5 and 6-week cleanses. When my mother visited me once as a senior at Brandeis, I hadn't eaten for 319 days that year. She was concerned. And like some people, right, I was floating on air. You understand how efficient my body was working? I wasn't emaciated. Look at everybody's face. Ellen.
How much fun were you having?
A massive amount of fun. Massive amount of fun. But it was a different life. In those days, I did an hour or 2 of of meditation a day and an hour or two of yoga a day. I was a different human being, MJ. So,
Not sure we would have been friends.
did I say, like Abbott and Costello, she's my straight woman? Did you get it? Now you hear it? What?
What's the name of the doctor?
Louis Billat. It's in my book.
I was going to say doctor from Wakefield. I saw him.
Did you? You remember him? Yeah. Yeah.
He's a character.
He was a character. I got lots and lots of Dr. Billat jokes. I write about him in the foreword of my book. And there are a lot of radio shows and talks on my website. It's all free. Cleansing and detoxing doesn't have to be what I did. It doesn't have to be 1 day a week. It doesn't have to be, it could be 3 to 5 days, twice a year. And it doesn't have to be just water. It could be lots of juices, brown rice, and looking at your A1C and diabetes. So I have a lot of experience. I've taught hundreds of doctors and health coaches around the country how to guide people through cleanses and detoxes. It's kind of like a theme of my wheelhouse, different than what vitamins should I take? What herbs should I take? Should I do acupuncture? Should I see a chiropractor? It's like, maybe, but if your body's toxic from residues of, you just haven't sweat much in your life, read the chapter in my book on toxicity, or listen to one of 5 or 6 different radio shows on my website on toxicity. It's certainly one of the linchpins for people 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s who want to help their brain. Truth be known, I help people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s who have arthritis. Itis, inflammation, all inflammation is grounded. You're not going to find somebody who's got any kind of itis, colitis, arthritis, any kind of inflammatory ongoing process and doesn't have toxicity. They may not have aluminum or mercury, that's true. They may not have an excess of recreational drugs because they didn't do any. They missed out, too bad. But they may have other things that they're not processing, that nobody's ever really identified for them. A couple more questions, and then you guys are amazing. Anything else you want to know? Otherwise, we'll say goodnight. Anything else you want to ask me? Yes, ma'am.
Where do you think the aluminum and mercury is coming from the most?
Great. That's a softball question. That's pretty easy. So aluminum is years of aluminum pots and pans. Aluminum is cooking with aluminum, not wrapping something, putting it in the fridge. I'm talking about wrapping your baked potato, cooking your salmon on aluminum. I'm talking about heating aluminum once. Come on. I'm talking about as part of your life. Throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the years, you heat aluminum. So get rid of your aluminum pots and pans. Don't cook with the aluminum. If you buy aluminum foil, just only use it to wrap something if that's what you want to do, instead of reusing a Tupperware or some other container. You can use that. Whole thing on environment and being more aligned with the environment. Where else do you get aluminum?
Vaccines. Hot topic.
Underarm deodorants. Read your labels. If you use an underarm deodorant, he's saying no, she's saying yes, she's saying yes. Yeah, so just,
It's not because of health.
that's right. It's not because of health, it's just guys don't.
Seems wrong.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. But read the label. There are many good, I'm sure there are a couple that are not so good, but where you get aluminum for years and years, the last 10, 20, 30 years, is underarm deodorants. For some reason, they put aluminum in it. And women, more than men, put it on every day. Really? Mercury, tuna fish, swordfish, cavities that you got 10, 20, 30 years ago that are leaking, and you don't have a toothache, but your filling is not sealed the way it was the first 2, 3, 4, 5 years you put it in. I test for that when you come to my office. So I can pinpoint if you have aluminum mercury, where it's coming from, and if it's mercury and somebody says, I hardly eat any tuna fish or swordfish. Oh, you have a lot of cavities? Well, I used to, but I don't anymore. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, well, then I can measure different than some dentists can measure it, not all, but I can tell you which tooth it is. Then you can go to the right kind of dentist, because at that point, I'm not going to give you something to chelate. Chelate's a Greek word, means to grab onto something and pull it out. I'm not going to chelate your mercury if you still have a leaking tooth. Unfortunately, you have to, in the next few weeks, month, 2, 3, 6 months, sometime, you need to change that filling. And you might never have a toothache, but it's seeping. Is aluminum or mercury ever going to get you into the hospital with emergency? No. Highly doubtful. Say never. Well, what's the problem with aluminum or mercury? It leaches vitamin C from your body. It unbelievably interrupts. Read articles. Google when you get home, aluminum and constipation. Google when you get home, aluminum and digestive disorders. Google mercury and the immune system. So people have a lot of allergies. I'm looking at heavy metals, not just how do I get them over the allergies, which is not difficult for me. I'm trained in different ways where if you give me 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 80, 90% of the time I can get people over their allergies, but not all the time. But what I have to do from here to there is different, to reprogram their brain to not think that gluten or anything's going to bother them. One of the things with allergies is what Diane asked. People have aluminum and mercury and they've never been tested. And it's throwing their whole immune system off.
Can you create delirium?
What?
Can you go in and out of conscious sight?
As far as I know, anything can create delirium. In the world we're living in, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Yes, but I don't see that a lot.
Okay.
I'm sure it can.
On the aluminum,
Yeah.
I understand what you said about wrapping food and cooking it. What about just sticking on the bottom, food's on top, while you're
No.
cooking it?
Big no.
that's
Use
leaching.
Sorry,
That's what I figured.
sorry.
Parchment paper.
This parchment, but non-stick parchment. There's a
So I just want everybody to thank Libby and MJ for how gracious they've been. Maybe we'll do something in the winter or spring, maybe not. By all means, if you wish me to stay in contact with you, I'll be happy to mail you when I do other talks or courses, or come see me if you'd like. But I want you to make sure you give them a big thanks for doing this. And have a healthy winter. Yeah, you're welcome.